I'm your host, Davina Shinsky, and you're listening to Live Without Limits and Dreams Come True with the Right Mindset. Today's presentation is 5 ways to stop being judgmental and why it's important. And before I get into this, one thing that I want to say is if you're going to be judgmental of someone else and their situation and how they handle it, then you can't blame anyone else for judging you based on the same standards. Because remember, you have no idea what goes on behind closed doors and why each person reacts the way they do. So being judgmental is easy. It's basically targeting low hanging fruit in an attempt to make ourselves feel better. We've all been there, whether you want to admit it or not. Maybe you're having a lousy day and maybe you don't even realize it. So turn up your nose. You see someone else wearing colors that, in your opinion, don't go together. You immediately judge. The person clearly didn't look in the mirror this morning. They are such a mess. Okay, hold up. Who are you to judge them? Do you know their whole life story? Are you making assumptions? Why are you putting any energy towards this? Well, let's get curious. How can you catch yourself? Why are you being so judgy? This is in this presentation, we're going to get to the bottom of it all and help you become a better person. So, who is bent on delivering positivity over negativity? What causes a person to be judgmental? Being on the receiving end of a judgy comments and eyes isn't fun. Now, imagine how it felt in those moments. What were you talking or feeling about? Not good, right? Yet we do it. We judge each other like it's our job. But the truth is, we should withhold judgment like Demi Lovato. And yes, let's me quote Demi Lovato for the second year. Remember, no judgmental looks said. Don't judge me. You know my name, but not my story. Only. Okay, so why do we feel so compelled to judge? Well, there are a few psychological reasons that you might be prone to judge tactics, including being insecure, having low self esteem, having parents who judged and critiqued, deflecting attention off their flaws, lacking control in one's own life, feeling envy or jealousy. But it's okay. You can 110% change this and flip the script. You don't need to be judgmental. In fact, you can always change who you are. All you need to do is step into the person you want to become by taking on the habits and behaviors that they do. A prime example, you want to become a kinder person. Well, do some small acts of kindness each day. So, how do you know if I am judgmental? Maybe you're not entirely sure if you're judgmental. You think maybe you could be, but you like to think of yourself in a positive light, which you totally should. Positive self talk is ultra beneficial and at the same time We've got to face the facts. Here are telltale signs that you might be seriously judgmental. You frequently categorize things to good or bad. You view others' actions as an embodiment of who they are as a person. You think your opinion is the truth. You expect everyone to be consistent all the time. You are typically in a negative headspace and have a negative outlook on life. You feel good criticizing others. You tend to assume things and jump to conclusions. You are very self critical. You have trouble trusting others. You often focus on certain traits above others. You continue strive for perfections. You've lost many friends. People rarely confide in you. You have social anxiety. You continually tell people what they need to fix or change. You have a low tolerance for differences. And any of the above sound familiar? If so, don't panic. Below or in this presentation, we're going to tell you and dive into exactly what you can do to be less judgmental. So, how do I become less critical or judgmental? First off, don't feel too bad. We all do it. And lingering on how bad of a person you are because you're judgmental doesn't help you or anyone else. So let's move on from here. Now, what can you do about it and how can you become a better person and friend? So here are a few tips. Steer clear of negative talk. The conversation with your friends starts veering down, talking crap about others. Well, you don't have to join in, nor do you have to encourage it. You can either disengage or simply say you'd rather not talk badly of others. Be kind to yourself. The most critical people have the worst inner dialogues. In fact, if you're talking badly to someone else, it's a sign that you probably don't talk that much better to yourself. So let's turn inward. Ignore what others are doing and focus on improving your own self comparison. This might mean coming up with positive affirmations to say to yourself each day, such as, I am enough, or another phrase that resonates with you. Also, practicing gratitude by taking a few minutes each day to write down what you appreciate in your life that can help you develop a more positive outlook overall. Consider meditation, or at least give it a try. Sure, it's not anyone's cup of tea, but the evidence is staggering. Meditation is well known to have various benefits, including helping you stress less and have more positive perspective on the world and yourself. If meditation really isn't your thing, try finding other ways to de stress and find happiness in your life. This might mean basking in the sun with your morning cup of tea, or maybe taking up a yin yoga or another self care practice. Remember, you don't know what you don't know. Judging is layered in assumptions and jumping to conclusions about people or events. Instead, adapt this perspective. You don't know what you don't know. There's just no way to know what anyone else is going through unless you're in their shoes. And assuming they can easily get it together isn't going to help them or you feel any better. Always, instead of assume everyone is simply doing the best that they can do with the knowledge and tools that they have thus far in their life. We are all learning, and that's okay. Focus on you. Now, instead of comparing yourself to others or meddling in other people's lives again, look inward. Where can you make improvements? How everyone can be better. And while we shouldn't necessarily obsess about it, continual growth and development in life can provide tons of purpose, helping you discover your true and authentic self. So keep evolving. So let's make a pact to quit the judgmental comments and looks once and for all. At the same time, let's not kid ourselves. We all are bound to have our moments, yet recognizing it and noticing that you're doing it can help you make a change. Don't let the spiral guide you down into negative hole. Rather, recognize it, leave it alone, revert your attention toward positivity and abundance, and life will eventually be what you've always wanted it to be. Now, a lot of people get judgmental, especially when they start reading about celebrity lives and personal lives, or that they become so familiar with seeing them on television and a show, and they see them having relationships with different people on a show, and automatically they take that to mean their own reality. Therefore, when that individual's marriage may fall apart, all of a sudden, oh, it was this one's fault and it was that one's fault because they had this affair, they had that. You have no idea reasons why a marriage ends. And the only thing that I'm going to say about that, if you look back on the 50s and earlier, many a times those were really bad marriages to begin with, but because women depended on men for financial support, they stayed in the marriage. Therefore, their children ended up seeing that as their reality and then creating the same kind of marriage. And because the times are different now and because women are self sufficient, they don't have to put up with it. And you've seen a lot of marriages fall apart just simply for that reason. And yet, those who have long marriages will look at them and be very judgmental, basing it on their own experience. You can't do that. You have to realize that each individual and each situation is very different. And until you walk in their shoes, you can't judge them.